It's not going well.
0-2 is not working for you?
Not for me personally, no. I mean, I will say, I don't know. Are we
Oh,
talking to just
Yo.
ourselves, or are we
No,
talking
we're
to
talking. We're
maybe
talking to the world.
the world? The world can hear our thoughts.
Can hear
My thought,
everything.
yes, my thought is I could have beaten a lot of people last week. I was pretty panicking about the first week because my team was not very good, like
Yeah.
very far and away from a lot of people. And then week 2 comes around, and it's like, oh, I could have beaten a lot of people, but no.
No, you would have beat everybody except me and Jimmy last week. You were the third highest scorer, so that's just a little bit of a bad schedule luck.
Bad schedule luck. It was fun though. It was fun having you down, being able to see Misha and John and John brought a couple of his buddies, Kyle and Nate, along. They had some other friends. It was a big group.
Yeah,
did
it was
not
cool.
have stage. Chris Stage missed
Yeah, we
out.
didn't. I mean, I gotta say, first of all, Brian, thanks to you for opening up the beach house down in San Diego. Always super fun to be down there, especially during football season. And speaking of stage, gotta thank Chris as well for housing us that first night and letting us sleep on his couches until like 11:30 in the morning or something like that, which is freaking crazy.
we were it was pretty bad. Like, I was not feeling that great. It was a lot of drinking. Went to a metal bar, like a metal bar. Like, that place was pretty grungy.
Yeah, a lot of black hair, black t-shirts.
Yeah, dude.
Piercings.
Lots of tattoos.
Yep.
A little bit of rave booty.
A little bit of nice. Yeah.
Wouldn't have expected to see rave booty at a metal bar, but yeah, no, it was a good time, good weekend, and I was glad to have you down, even if it cost me a victory.
Yeah.
And actually, I have to go back and look at the actual the results, but I think, if I'm not mistaken, you ended up coming away with the week number 2 highest point total. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is definitely the way it planned out. I like how you just can't really remember, just blinded by the beatdown a little bit is what I'm getting from you.
The beatdown. I would say, let's see, who was it that? Oh man, CJ fucking Anderson. God damn it, you really
that
fucking took it to me.
multiple touchdowns from CJ. But yeah, and hey, you gotta update the league page too. We gotta keep it up to date with who all has won the $10 every week. Because I mean,
what are you talking about?
No, like you were saying.
I thought, I think I did say that, but I thought maybe I'll just leave it at Joey and question mark for the rest of the season. That might just piss everybody off, and people will be like, no. We can't have Joey be the only person that won anything. If he already has 5 championships, he doesn't need to have more grace thrown his way.
That could be true, but no, I have a feeling it's going to be a good revolving door of who wins every week, and I think it's going to be cool for people to start tallying up,
for people to start tallying
you've
up
won
and
3, you've won 3 the most by anybody.
All right,
you almost got your whole buy-in back.
Okay, Sean, I get what you're saying. You need the credit to be on the league.
I need to see my own name there. I don't have a lot of good things to look forward to, and that's just, I need this. I need this to live.
He needs this. Okay, well, I'll tell you what. Listen, I don't actually know if this is going to, but so I have a mechanical keyboard.
That's going to be very loud. Let's do a little post podcast update.
A little post.
Oh wow, God, those keys
thing that is so great.
Man, keyboard warrior over here, just hitting the message boards, just trolling so hard.
Dude, I'm a macro and micro monster, dude. My SC2 skills are off the fucking charts.
I don't know what any of those words are that you just said.
Perfect. That makes me feel like even more of a nerd.
Killer Cali Fantasy Football.
Opening Pandora's box.
Coming out with vengeance. Flame gate.
I'm glad the fire, the passion is fire. We need to look at the real person to blame. Nicholas English.
All the butter and biscuits.
And I just can't believe what's happening.
Time to get fucking violent.
Firing on multiple cylinders right now.
Fantasy nemesis.
Rap podcast.
Killer mermaid.
Real well.
Really dope walk.
Holy speed.
It's a good time.
All right. So let's.
So yeah, it was good, man. It was good to have. Well, we had 4 people. Well, we could have had 5 if Chris had made it back out for the games on
and if
Sunday.
Derek listened to the podcast,
And if Derek listened to the podcast, he would know there's a meetup going on, but he does not. So that's what happens when you don't listen. You miss out on some really fun
key
stuff.
insider details.
These are not details.
These aren't necessarily things that are included in the group text. The podcasts are included in the group text. So technically, you would have had access to the insider information.
It was right there at your ear tips, your fingertips or your ear tips.
Ear tips. your fear tips.
No, but it's always fun to have, a few people from the league. I know we all, half the group lives in NorCal, half lives in SoCal, kind of spread out, but it is sweet when people can get together. And it just so happened to be, coincidentally, that you and I were playing each other, so it was cool, even though, it would have been nice if it was a little bit closer, but it was still fun just to kind of, be there, especially during the morning games when everything's all fresh and the competition's hot and everybody's got a chance to win. And it was a lot of fun to be over at Miller's Field, which is just a great place to watch football because you can just see every single game.
It just there was it was certainly very nice. It got really toasty in the afternoon, but I think that's just to be expected, especially after full days of drinking. All those Daryl strawberries.
Oh, those Daryl strawberries.
Those
Man.
Daryl strawberries.
So who was the first person that existed before this last Sunday? And for those that don't know, the Daryl strawberry is now becoming like a mythical drink at this place in Miller's Field in San Diego.
Are we actually going to tell people what it is?
I mean, we don't have to tell them what it is. It's a drink.
I
don't even remember what all the ingredients are, but it is a super tasty drink.
Okay, well, it's a classic drink, but because there's a whole bunch of stuff in there, it makes it fancy, and they give it the sports name, the Daryl Strawberry. John, I can't remember who it was. I think it was John that made this joke. Yeah, who made this joke that what it actually needs to be a perfect Daryl Strawberry is it needs some powdered sugar, all over the rim.
Needs a little powdered sugar around the rim, and then the straw needs to be like a
dollar
bill. I think that would be the real Daryl Strawberry. But man, those drinks are good. They get you. They go down easy. A lot of fun. I don't really know how that became a thing beforehand, but I'm happy that
it was because Nick would order them a lot. So so for those who aren't the Southern California connoisseurs, those who aren't down here all the time, Miller's Field is this place down in Pacific Beach that Nick and I would always go to watch the football games. Now I'm trying to think. I want to say, Sean, you were already back up in the Bay Area.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
By the time we started fantasy, right?
Yeah, I think the first year we all did fantasy when we had the independent defensive players or individuals. That was my first year up in San Francisco.
Year, okay. Yeah. So you missed our first years going to Miller's Field, and I don't think we actually ended up starting going until like a year or two, maybe even like year 2 into fantasy. But even still, it's a really fun place. It's right on Mission. Pretty much you're looking out at the out at the water. What else?
It's a two-story massive bar. I mean, there's bars on both floors. And there's got to be at least 50 TVs in the entire place. This place on Sundays is built for football.
How often have you been downstairs in that place before?
I've never actually sat downstairs. I've only just walked through it. We're always upstairs, and you got the huge windows, so you can always look outside and see Pacific Beach right there, which is cool. And then you got waitresses just coming around with, taking your food and drink orders, and a million TVs above you. You're seeing every single game. Everybody's there to watch football. People have jerseys on. It's a really fun time. It's an event for sure.
That's probably one of the other reasons I like the place so much, is that it's because of the jerseys. And San Diego is a very special place, as most of you all know, that there are not too many of us, actually. And when I say us, I mean me. Too many locals in San Diego. And when you go to a place like Miller's Field, you actually really see that, because you go and, dude, there are just fucking jerseys from every corner of the fucking country. Dude, you got Browns fans and Bengals fans and Washington Redskins fans and all these people. You're just like, what the fuck are you guys doing out here? This is, way the fuck out there. I think I seriously saw somebody wearing, oh my God, I'm pretty sure we did see this the other day. Somebody was wearing a goddamn, was it Bortles? It might have been.
There was a Bortles jersey there for sure.
Seriously, a Jacksonville Jaguar jersey. That's
where did this person come from?
But that's what I'm saying. That's why Miller's Field is kind of such a
big mishmash. And from what I remember, I've been there probably 3 or 4 times now. It used to be, it was pretty heavily weighted towards the Chargers, because obviously San Diego Chargers, now that the Chargers have moved to LA, seems like there's a pretty good divide of people that are just like, you know what, fuck that. That's not even my team anymore. And I was really surprised to see that it turned into a Raiders bar.
No, I think it's actually become an official. It
seems like it has.
Raiders bar.
For all of you NorCal Raiders fans up here, if you go down to San Diego and you're looking for a Raiders bar, that's a great place to go.
So depressing.
I know, I was not expecting to see that, considering they're in the same division. It was just like, wow, how quickly the I don't know if I want to say the bandwagon, but kind of feels that way. Raiders are really good now all of a sudden, and now.
Oh, I don't know. I don't like this. I don't like this conversation.
Anyways, really fun place to watch football. If you go down to San Diego, you gotta check it out.
I went from being so excited to now so depressed. Actually, being reminded that it's now.
I see the thing, Brian. I don't know what to tell you to bring up your spirits, because if we want to talk about, the scores from last week, that's not going to help. We want to talk about the Chargers, that's not going to help either.
Dude,
I don't even know what to bring up right now.
You can't bring up anything, Sean. You're just failing at everything, and no matter what you're doing, you're upsetting me. And I guess we'll just have to continue on with this recap of last week, and we might as well just go on with these fucking Raiders fans that were very, very happy to be down there and enjoying the full Raider atmosphere. We had both Misha and John. John was double dipping in leagues, has one league over here and then another league over here.
True, yeah. He had friends from his other league and he had us in our league, so he was definitely double dipping there, which we'll allow it because we know those other guys.
Maybe that's why he ended up with the 6-point loss, possibly.
Ooh, there could have been some double dipping karma involved in that. You want to spread yourself thin like that? I don't know. You never know what happens.
So right now, just taking a look, and I'm just saying, I just want to put this out there. Nick drafted Justin Tucker in the 10th round.
Yes.
Right now, he's currently the 19th ranked kicker.
Yeah, that's certainly not helping him out so far.
I mean, he's got the whole season left, but Nick, I do want you to keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I mean, Nick also is 2-0, so he's probably not.
He's 2-0. He doesn't even
hard,
care. He thinks his team is the cream of the crop, and I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 positions that were under 7 points. Now, cream of the crop, I think he's had some good performances. I think he's got some really good talent with Le'Veon and Lamar. Like Le'Veon, I understand people think Le'Veon's had like kind of a down beginning, but Le'Veon, dude, that guy is a monster. That guy is just going to.
When you've got Aaron Rodgers and Le'Veon as your 1-2 punch right there, like you're probably, you're going to be pretty competitive, I would say, week in, week out. At least you've got some top studs right there.
And especially with the Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers connection, like that's
True,
only
yeah.
going to add like a nice pad to that. Like you're hoping that Devontae Adams doesn't go quiet like he did in week 1, which I don't think he probably will. I think more, maybe not the touchdown every single week, but I think like 5, 6, 7 receptions for like 70, 80 yards. I think like that's kind of like a week in and week out expectation that you could look for from Devontae. That would just be
throw a touchdown in here every now and then.
Yeah, exactly. That I think that would be good, and then maybe some really good performances and with a few bad. But no, I think Devontae is going to be a good piece, dude. I ended up paying for this just like Nick did. Fucking Sam Bradford not starting.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that he had any sort of like issues with his knees or anything, or his knees, sorry, or anything like that. And yeah, we found out from excuse me, found out from Nate, John's buddy, when we were there, who's a big Vikings fan, that yeah, it was his knee, and he was taking it out. And not only did Stephon Diggs end up really paying for that, but I had Thielen in our game, who had a pretty bad showing. I had and I took him out I put him in for Emmanuel Sanders, and Emmanuel Sanders then just had a couple TDs on my
definitely
bench.
could have got a lot more points. I mean, you still wouldn't have bridged the gap to actually win, but it would have been nice to score more points. But I will say, just keeping it real here.
Just keep it
I will
real.
say for Nick's team, like he's got some good pieces, but he's been a beneficiary of a very soft schedule so far. I mean, he's third to the bottom in points against. So hasn't really had some tough competition so far in the first couple weeks. So we'll see. I mean, schedule
I
can
know
get
where
a
I
little
am.
tougher.
I definitely know where I am.
Yeah, you've
No,
definitely
I'm at the
you've
very
definitely
bottom.
had.
I'm at the very bottom,
Yeah, you've
'cause
had the
I've
worst
faced-
schedule so far.
Yes, because I've faced the 2 highest scorers each week in a row.
Yeah, you've had 120 more points scored against you than Nick has.
Yep.
125. That's crazy. In 2 weeks, that's 60 plus
Now,
points. each
here's
week.
my question. Because this is where I want to know about the shape of my team. Where does it say I am in the points for? Because that first week really hurt.
Yeah, you're third from the bottom, but honestly,
Okay.
I would say you're kind of just jammed up in the middle with everybody. So, I remember your first week was really bad, and then your second week, you were the third highest scorer. So, we'll see how the trend line continues from here. But I mean, at least in 2 games, you're going in the right direction.
Yeah, I would say so. All right, here's my last question about Nick's team for you.
Okay.
Jeremy Maclin in 2 games has scored 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Okay, here's my question. Do you think Jeremy Maclin is a top 15 receiver?
Through the end of the season, you mean? Like,
Yes.
will he finish? I have
Yes.
to say no to that.
I would agree.
Yeah. I wish we had some board bets, but we haven't really got into that. But yeah, it seems like we both agree on that one.
Ooh, there you go. That's something that we could do for the website. Board bets.
That's true. Yeah, we could get some board bets from anybody.
Board bets. Yeah, absolutely. Totally. One thing actually we do want to do, and we've talked about this a few times, and Nick really wanted to make it happen this weekend or this last weekend, and just no way. We're not going to be able to coordinate. It's hard enough for Sean and I to coordinate, but to try to get a bunch of people in on a podcast is going to be difficult. But we would like to do what we did last year, where we would have some people call in and just be able to have a conversation with some of you guys, especially some of those that weren't able to do it last year. So I don't know.
That would be
Keep
nice.
that in mind, you guys.
Yeah, we need to do that. Maybe we'll have to blow up the group chat or group text line a little bit. But yeah, it was really fun last year to have some guests on the show. I mean, everybody that was on said they really enjoyed it. So we need to get back into that. I know it's early still, but Jesus, we're already 3 weeks in, almost 3 weeks in now.
Exactly. And all you would need is Skype. That's it. That's all you need in order.
Yeah.
And
you could have it on your smartphone. You can just have your headphones plugged into your cell phone with the Skype app. That's literally all that you need. So there's nothing crazy going on. You have everything that you need.
So keep that in mind, you guys. And I
Yeah.
guess we should, since I did say we were going to get into this because of these Raiders fans, I guess we should talk about John's team a little bit, which had a rough week.
Yeah, I gotta pull his up, but he did have a rough week.
Mike Evans coming back had a great game.
Oh yeah, that's awesome to see. Mike Evans is a fucking great player.
Russell had a quiet game against
Zeke,
SF.
Dude,
Zeke, yeah.
Zeke. Oh my God, yeah. I don't know what was going on with him last week, but like, there was just
Dude, they just
no
looked
effort.
horrible. They looked
and
horrible,
just
didn't
defeated, yeah. So can't imagine that he's gonna have many more weeks like that. But maybe he'll have a big one this week because I know he kind of got chewed out and called out by the coach Jason Garrett for just his lack of effort last week. So maybe he'll light the fire and he'll have a big week this week.
Yeah, I hope so. But I mean, other than Mike Evans and maybe Demarius, it was just kind of a lower scoring game. The Cohen kid on the Bears, dude, he had 8 receptions again.
Yeah,
That's
that guy,
second
that
week in a
Tariq
row.
Cohen's pretty impressive. He's like an
Or
explosive.
Tariq or whatever. I'm not
I
sure.
think it's Tariq. Turok the dinosaur hunter. I don't know.
Tariq, yeah. That's awesome. Oh man.
But yeah, pretty disappointing showing for Glasgow for sure. I know he was definitely disappointed, and he had to wait a while. Nick's team was doing so bad before that night game, where John only had 80 points, but it almost looked like he was gonna beat Nick. Like Nick needed a decent to good game from Aaron Rodgers, and he needed a really good game from Devontae Adams in that night game. And he got it, and Nick just eked that one out. Nick easily could have lost this matchup, and that would have been just a piss poor matchup right there. But Nick's walked away with it.
I guess he did. That little bastard.
Yeah.
You bastard, Nick at 2-0.
2-0, and got to be feeling pretty lucky. I know Nick will never admit that. No luck involved. No luck involved.
No, that's not, no, as Nick would say. No.
When you get a win with 86.5 points, I mean, there's nothing else to say except you got super lucky.
Well, I'm sure Nick would have something different to say.
See,
What
if
it
Nick
would
would
be,
just
I'm
come
not
on the
sure.
podcast, we could hear what he have to say.
We've had Nick on the podcast.
I know. Yeah,
we've had Nick. So this is what I'm saying. I want to give people a chance who haven't.
Exactly.
You know who actually told me? Funny enough, what Nick did say is Tina wants to be on the podcast.
Well,
Tina
that
has
would be
listened
interesting.
to our podcast. That would be an interesting. So we have the perspective of the wives, the fiancés, the girlfriends to see what the fuck it is that they think of how ridiculous and stupid that we get. How excited that we get before the season starts, and then once the season actually comes, we're all so just miserable and upset.
Yes.
And just like we just I feel like that's probably what ruins all the shit for all the wives and the girlfriends and fiancés. It's not that we're into football or that we go to watch football. It's probably just about how fucking irritated and just fucking miserable.
Well, here's a pro tip. Something that I've picked up along the way is to kind of mitigate some of that. If you actually do get in a position where you win some money in the league somehow, if you buy your girlfriend or your wife a little something with that, definitely earns you a little bit more leeway with all the shit that we have to go through.
You got to
during the
buy her
season.
some. You got to buy her something.
I'm just saying, it pays dividends. Anyways,
All right,
that's my pro tip for the
Speak-
week right there.
All right, pro tip. Tell everybody listening and all the wives and fiancés and girlfriends. Hopefully, they're just like nodding and that's right. Speak the truth. Let's talk about Misha and Phil. Since Misha was the other Raider down there, he did come away with the victory. Some interesting places that he got it to come from. He finally I don't want to say finally because he's been trying doing this for a few years, this double tight end role.
Yep.
But Jesus.
He really lived up to his team name this last week with his.
They were at the tightest.
By far, his 2 top scorers, by a large margin, were his 2 tight ends with Gronk and Kelsey, each putting up 21 even. So that's really nice to see. If you're Misha right there, you got 42 points just from a tight end in your flex.
No
you're
kidding.
you're going to be in pretty good shape from there. And I mean, he didn't really have any other standout performances, honestly.
Well, I don't know, dude. Jarvis Landry, okay, he might not have gotten a touchdown. He had 13 receptions.
Yeah, and that's what
a
Landry
lot.
is supposed to be. Like, that's what everybody says is he's supposed to be a reception PPR target
Well, maybe
monster.
I mean, I hate to admit it because I really hate Jay Cutler, but maybe that will be the case because, dude, I mean, remember when Brandon Marshall broke that record of however many catches in a game? That was with Jay Cutler. I can't remember when that was. It was like years ago.
That's true.
But and that record might have been broken since. But yeah, no, I mean, he's got some interesting pieces on his team, but other parts of it were really fucking quiet. Odell,
his running backs were quiet. Yeah, Odell finally back in the lineup, had a pretty quiet first game, but
Doug
maybe
Baldwin.
maybe just kind of warming up a little bit. Yeah, Doug Baldwin had a pretty weak game. Cam Newton pretty piss poor with 11 points.
That
Cam
Christian
has not looked good.
No, and that Christian McCaffrey kid, he did not do very well. It says he only got 10 yards in the ground on 8 attempts.
Yeah, I mean,
it's
it's crazy. I just don't think they're using him right because he's such a good athlete and such a good player.
Well,
Like,
I think it comes down to a lot of them. Yeah, right. Like
Totally.
a lot of teams don't know how to use their players. Oh man, looking over at the other side. Speaking of
Phil,
Brandon Marshall,
man, what a
1.5,
tough week.
2 goose eggs.
2 goose eggs.
Jordy, what the fuck did he? Yeah, he went down.
Oh, he
didn't
went down like within the first play or a couple plays of the game.
God damn it! And
That's gonna hurt. And Jordan Howard, fucking really surprising to throw up a 0. Like he has been so consistent lately.
Did he go down or was he?
Yeah, he had a shoulder. It looks like a shoulder injury. He only got 7 carries, so not too much there. Obviously, when you don't get to play the entire game, but
Right.
still, you'd think he'd put up with 7 carries. You'd think he'd put up a little more than a goose egg.
I mean, shit. And Kirk Cousins did not do what he needed to do.
But Jesus, Michael Crabtree,
Yep,
holy shit.
We were watching those 3 TDs. The bar was
yeah.
going fucking crazy.
Yeah, because you had, was it you? You have Amari Cooper, right?
No. I was running crazy Raiders that day, but I have Lynch. And I
Oh, that's
also
right.
had-
Yeah. You wanted the Lynch TDs when they were on the
Trevecchio
goal line, and they
and
kept throwing them to Crabtree.
Crabtree all the time.
What do you have? 3 TDs, right?
Yeah,
my God.
Marshawn at least got one.
Yeah,
on the
Marshawn
ground.
got 1. Crabtree had 6 receptions, half of which were touchdowns.
Yeah.
That's
No,
crazy.
dude, I had like last year, he was a touchdown machine. Remember when you and I were playing each other last year?
I hated
And
it. Hated it so much. That's why I freaking hate Crabtree because he just burns me every time.
Yeah, dude. I think he had 3 touchdowns in that game that we played with each
do
other, like
remember
against
that.
each other.
Yep.
That wasn't the championship game. That was like one of the season games, wasn't it?
It was before
Yeah.
the championships, yeah.
Yeah. Like,
So-
I remember you saying like smacked my fucking couch like on that 3rd touchdown.
Yeah,
Like,
I couldn't believe it. I mean, Phil's
Oh.
team, like, he's got really, I'd say his receivers, he's really strong in the receiving game. It'll be interesting to see kind of what he does with the running back game throughout the season. I mean, Jordan Howard is a staple, I would say, unless something weird happens.
Pop
But
Duke
then
Johnson, and Duke Johnson's better than 0. I mean, 8.5
True.
is something. What
Yeah.
did he? 4 for 21 on the ground and 3 for 59 in the air. It's still not.
The way Phil's team looks right now with the kind of the second tier running backs he has, it looks like he's going to be playing kind of the revolving door. Who's got the hot hand, perhaps, or
Yeah,
the
maybe.
matchups or something. But so it'll be interesting to see kind of how he manages his lineup from here. But good receiving core though.
Oh yeah, I mean, dude, when Andrew Luck comes back, Jordy gets healthy. No, dude, that's Andy's got. A flex position he could throw in. You know, Nelson Aguilar has had a good week last week. Andy had 1 catch this last week, but it was for a touchdown. So, shit, dude, he's
Got some options.
There's some options there.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think they're going to be better days ahead for Phil. And when you're 0-2, like I am, like a few others are, there have to be better days ahead.
That's where you start getting creative. You know, you hit up waivers, hit up free agents, maybe do some trades. I don't know.
Some
People
trades.
start doing some trades now that we're getting into the season a bit. So
They're getting a little bit in there. But all right, so let's skip to the person. I mean, we know Misha. Congratulations,
Yep.
another 2-0 team along with Nick. Let's maybe go and skip to our other 2-0 team. And the other person who wasn't there, Stage and Joey. So let's take a look at the.
Yeah, we should have seen Chris in person. I mean, the plan was for him to come to Miller's as well, given that he lives in San Diego. We'd hung out with him the 2 days prior, but
Literally the night before, like 6 or 7 hours before we were going to show up at Miller's, or maybe a little bit longer than that. But we were there with him. But Chris is just too crazy. He's just too
went a little too hard for consecutive nights, and I guess couldn't quite bring himself to get out of bed on Sunday, even to watch his precious Patriots for the morning.
I'm sure how I imagine it happening is I imagine that he slunk his way out into the living room and like laid down on the couch, like threw a blanket like over him, and he would just like turn it on, and he would like peek under, like, you know.
He probably looked like a 5,000-year-old Egyptian mummy that you'd see in a museum, like
something like that.
To a
but
T.
every time Tom Brady scored a touchdown, you would hear a
yeah, just some kind of grunting, like.
Because Tom Brady fucking kicked ass that game. And we'll get to Derek and his team eventually really quick. But let's go over Chris and Joey's matchup really quick, since Chris wasn't there. I know Joey would have had a good time if he were down in San Diego too at Miller's Field, and his team had another pretty solid week.
Yeah, he had some big standouts by a few players that really carried his team. His was a very polarizing matchup, like, you know, a 2.5 from DeMarco, a 0.5
right,
from Jimmy
0.5 from Jimmy. What happened to Jimmy? Did Jimmy go down, or
he got injured. He left very early in that game. And then I think DeMarco got injured as well, and then Derrick Henry came in and got like a couple touchdowns or something. So yeah, we'll see how those guys fare out. But yeah, dealt with a little injury bug last week, but had some monster performances, and man,
dude,
so far I think
Hunt.
Kareem has got to be the MVP. I mean, for 2 weeks, you know, whatever, but still, like, Kareem.
Well,
and
within two, so he has 5 touchdowns, 3 rushing and 2 receive. Or sorry, 3 rushing.
65 points in 2 weeks, like that is fucking crazy.
I know, dude. That is pretty. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Like, I would say, who would you say is the top few backs in your view, besides so Kareem Hunt would be number 1. Who would be number 2?
Shit, that's a good question. I haven't really even spent much time just kind of looking up honest just rankings of players in ESPN.
Okay, everybody think about that. We'll come back to that question next week maybe. But that was a fun thing that we all did do, where we were talking about, you know, like how all the players like rank and how they're doing, and following them throughout the season.
Kind of surprising to see some of the top couple people for the running backs. Obviously, Kareem Hunt is out in front by a huge margin, and then number 2 is actually Ty Montgomery.
Really? That is super interesting. No kidding.
I mean, that's going to change after this week. Todd Gurley, because Todd Gurley's been a monster. He'll be, you know, probably number 2 at least by end of week 3. And then you've got C.J. Anderson. Then the next huge surprise is Chris Thompson from Washington. So it's early yet. These are definitely people are gonna come back to earth. But you're seeing a couple not so standard names in there with Ty Montgomery, C.J. Anderson, Chris Thompson. So
no kidding, yeah, that's really interesting. I mean, I'm sure Le'Veon's gonna have his like 50-point game or something like that. Shit like that's
it's
probably
gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
But even still, like, that is pretty interesting. So I guess we'll see what happens. What about so anything else on Joey's team stand out to you? Chris Hogan? Well, I guess that's just Tom Brady was fucking insane. And Hogan had 78 yards, 5 receptions, and a touchdown.
Yeah, Julio just doing his thing. Roethlisberger had a nice Big Ben game at home. So, I mean, Joey, you know, put up plenty of points. 108. Sometimes that's not going to get you a win, but this week was a pretty low overall week. for most teams. So 108 will certainly get you the win there. So nice job, Joey. Starting it off 2-0, leading it by his rookie there. So we'll see if that can continue. And yeah, Chris got the brunt, the shitty end of that stick with kind of like 86 points was almost like the average for like everybody in the league this week.
It does seem like it was kind of like a pretty close, and a couple of performers just did not come through. LaShawn McCoy having a really quiet game. Brandon Cooks really only
Brandon
4
Cooks
points.
has not been able to get it going yet, but I feel like that's got to change with Brady there. But
I
so
don't
far,
know.
he's a guy that was drafted very early with high expectations and has
Of course, because he's got a lot of talent, and you put a lot of talent with Tom Brady that should translate to success, but. The Patriots are so fucking hard to read.
They are,
They're
man.
so
And
hard
they're
to
like their
figure
running
out.
backs have been scoring touchdowns all over the place.
The theory with the Patriots is whatever running back did super well last week, don't play that running back.
I know. I
'Cause
was
they're
surprised
not-
that Gillislee last week still had a nice performance 2 weeks in a
Dude,
row
maybe,
now. It's like
maybe Gillislee's going to be because the Patriots are going to run the ball, like get rushing touchdowns, right?
Well,
like
that's the thing
always
with
happens.
Gillislee. He works so well for the Patriots because he's like fucking LeGarrette, where he's not a guy that's supposed to rack up yards. He's like kind of that bruiser of a running back. When you get into the in the 5 yard line, they're gonna hand it off to him for sure,
and he's going to bruise his way there.
He's the go-to guy for the goal line. So I mean, he should rack up touchdowns.
No, dude, he might be. I mean, LeGarrette had 18 last year.
Yeah, led the league.
Gillislee already has how many?
I think he has 3.
Well, he had 3 in that one game. I thought he had another touchdown this last week.
No, I think he had 2 in the first. Maybe he had 3. I forget. Either way, he's got 3 or 4, in 2 games. So he's already on a neck break pace, if you will.
Jesus.
So,
well, all right.
But yeah, the rest of Chris's team Martavis Bryant, that was nice.
Very nice. I'm not worried about Chris because you look at his bench, 55 points on the bench. I mean, Marcus would have. It doesn't matter that he played Jameis. Him and Marcus had the same amount, but Carlos Hyde, 15.
Well, we already saw what Carlos Hyde did this week. God,
just this week, and I'm pretty sure he had him. He put him.
Oh
in.
yeah, he very much did. And I'm playing Chris this week, and Hyde broke it off for 2 scores, and even toyed with the he's got a hip injury, he's out of the game, and then comes back and scores 2 touchdowns. God damn it.
That's pretty frustrating. I can understand from both perspectives, but more so from your perspective.
Yeah, I was like, Sean. Okay, all right. Well, that could be good for me. He only has 3 points right now, and then finishes with 22.
Yeah, ouch.
Anyway, so yeah, Chris has definitely got some players that last week were on his bench that he can definitely fill in there. So I think he'll be okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay, now if we were to let's go back to the last match is Derek and Jimmy.
Yeah, Derek and Jimmy. This was actually a pretty good matchup.
It was a good matchup, and holy shit, Jimmy just fucking
Jimmy's team. I gotta say, Jimmy's scary. He's second in points for the season behind me. But no, he's had 2 really solid weeks. And his team definitely looks really good. Like, yeah, I'd be nervous to play Jimmy. I mean, he's got Derek Carr, who's going to be probably very solid. Jay Ajayi looked really good, I got to say, last week for just how he was running. And Ty Montgomery, the number 2 running back so far. Antonio Brown, I mean, come on. Amari Cooper. He's got Gillislee, as we were talking about. Like, damn, Jimmy's team right now is super, super strong.
Yeah, 4 touchdowns, 3 in the first game, 1 this last one.
Oh, he did have 3 that first one. Damn,
and
crazy.
he just picked up the Ravens defense, who's gone 27-17.
Yeah,
wow.
So he's looking good. He's got some really good pieces. I'd love to have Jimmy on this podcast. He's I know he really enjoys the podcast. Like in the text group, he's always kind of that first one, like, hey, when's the new pod coming out? I think he really enjoys it, and I'd love to just hear what he has to say, because he can be kind of quiet sometimes, but I don't know, Jimmy fucking cracks me up, and he's a man of few words, but the few words are pretty goddamn hilarious.
Jimmy Crack Sean.
There we go. So super strong performance for Jimmy.
Yeah, dude.
136. Like, you expect that you're gonna win when you score that much.
He could have gotten the fucking. He could have gotten the highest score.
Yeah, he definitely could have. But
Jesus.
yeah,
And
Derek just ran into a bit of a buzzsaw, and
well, that's not the buzzsaw. We gave Misha the nickname of the.
I guess
buzzsaw.
that's true.
We gotta leave.
We can leave that for Misha. We can leave it for him.
So Jimmy can be the bandsaw.
At the table saw.
The table saw. But yeah, no, I mean, dude, I thought Derek was off to the races, like watching Tom Brady.
With Tom Brady, yeah, and I thought Tom Brady was going to have a much bigger game. I mean, he didn't throw any more touchdowns after the first quarter, which is pretty surprising.
No, Jesus.
But 37, you love to see that.
You do.
Dez, well, that was the later game. Alshon had a really nice game. But man, he got some really bad news in that morning game. Carolina,
Yep.
Greg Olsen, injured reserve, broken foot. That's a big blow.
One.
That was his third or fourth round draft pick right there.
That was a high draft pick for sure.
One of the first tight ends off the board, and now he's very off the board with that injury. So that's a bummer. That's a bummer for him. But he does have Zach Ertz on the bench, who's been pretty solid. So
it's pretty solid.
Maybe he's got a nice little fill in there.
I mean, gosh, yeah, no, I'm not worried about his team at all. Like he had,
he's got good pieces.
Jags D. I mean, they kind of fucked you. Tennessee just went apeshit. And yeah, Greg Olsen gets injured. Crowder, I mean, shit.
Crowder's got a lot of upside. I mean, he's been slow to start, but Washington, I feel like they're going to get in a groove, and Crowder's going to have some big games coming up.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate you run into 136. I think Derek, I mean, I feel like he was in my position. He would have beaten a lot of other people if he had played anybody else this week.
Exactly. Yeah, you and him tied. Same amount of points. You guys were tied for the third highest in the league. So almost anybody else that you guys played, you would have won.
Exactly. Well, shit. Sorry, Derek. We'll see. I mean, me and you are squaring off this week, and I guess we could.
That's good timing. You guys both score the same the week before, and then match up this week. That's kind of cool.
So, who should we talk about? Should we talk about the games that already happened?
Well, I guess we could do a little bit of a preview for this week and some of the things that have already happened. Yeah.
Well, you did say you watched. We were watching Carlos Hyde, who went off for 2 TDs.
There were okay, man. I didn't really watch last night's game because I mean I just don't really care much about the 49ers and the Rams, but I was following the scores and whatnot.
So you have fucking pure. I was looking for that, and funny enough, and goddamn, and Chris has Sammy Watkins.
Yeah, there was a lot of bench points for that. I mean, because basically Pierre Garçon is my flex guy, and I took him out last week, and I put in Jaquiz, and that was a great move. And then I was like, I'm gonna keep Jaquiz in there for the next couple weeks while he's still the starting running back.
Right.
And then
until Doug Martin.
I did not expect Garçon to have such a monster game.
Well, dude, the Rams were fucking kicking ass, and you didn't expect the 49ers to keep pace.
Dude, I don't think anybody expected, what was it? It was over 70 points scored in that game. The 49ers hadn't even scored any touchdowns in the year coming into this game.
You know what? They might be some of the shittiest teams in the NFL, but that must have been one of the best. I didn't watch the whole thing, but I watched the majority of it. That must have been one of the best fucking Thursday night games I've ever seen.
Yeah,
it was so high scoring, just back and forth. It's really I don't want to say it was shitty defense because there were some turnovers and stuff like that, but I guess that's just more shitty offenses. But God, those shitty offenses were putting up fucking points.
Dude, seriously, there was
entertaining.
Major yards being put up from running backs and from the receivers.
Just in your guys' game, you guys had 3 of those fucking major performers.
Yeah, and 2 of them were both on our benches. That's how it goes. People can explode at any point, but Chris is sitting nice in our matchup. 22.5 for Carlos Hyde. I know he's feeling good about that, and definitely bummed about that, but still a lot of game to go. And then, dude, you Todd Gurley fucking going off, and it just always reminds me again. It always brings me back to our draft this year and how many people you took that I was gonna draft because you were right before me, and Todd Gurley was definitely one of them. And my God, what a bounce back from last year! In 3 weeks, he is putting up big scores, and last night was huge for him.
Huge. Yeah. No, I was getting really greedy. I was like really hoping for that fourth touchdown. You know,
I mean, seriously, you had plenty of time for that to happen.
And there were a lot of opportunities. But like that's the thing though, is like he broke 100, but in all honesty, that breaking 100 was really near the end of the game. So many of those touchdowns were because the fucking 49ers either coughed the ball up or just did something bad, like and also
the Rams were ahead by a good margin. I would say most of the game up until kind of the second half of the fourth quarter. And so, I mean, I didn't watch it, but I would assume that they were probably just feeding the ball to Gurley, like just keeping the ball on the ground.
Well, eventually, near the end of it, they started to. So he eventually got those 28 attempts and 113 yards. But before that, you know, it was really just like he had 2 touchdowns on like maybe, you know, like 9 or 10 attempts and 40 some odd yards. Like it was really, he was just working pretty light. But funny enough, I think Nick, if I'm not mistaken, I know it says 0. Oh no, okay, so it wasn't Nick. It was, who was it that had the Rams defense?
I think didn't somebody drop the Rams defense?
Maybe that's what it was, that they had dropped the Rams defense.
Smart move. Which, I mean, you could have even argued like, Rams defense could be good this week playing against the lowly 49ers on a Thursday night game. You know, could have been a nice little potential plug and play right there. But yeah, no one bit the bait on that one.
Yeah. Oh yeah, so he dropped. Yeah, he did. He dropped the Rams defense right before that game, the day before that game. Lucky bastard.
Lucky motherfucker.
Lucky motherfucker.
So crazy game last night. So already, you know, some people got some scores going there. Just you and Chris actually were the only people that had guys that were playing, but that worked out very nicely for you. So nice job on that. But I'm actually looking at the matchups this week and just looking at the records that people have, and I think
big one's going to be Misha and Nick.
Yeah, Misha and Nick, couple undefeateds going at it. But the way that the matchups are with people's records, after this week, it's going to start spreading out the margin of, you know, first place to last place. That's my prediction, because you've got, for example, me and Chris are both 1-1. We're the only 1-1 team, so obviously we're going to spread that gap there. You've got Misha and Nick undefeated they're going to play, so, you know, somebody's not going to be undefeated there. And then you've got a lot of the rest of them are 0-2s versus 2-0s. And so no matter what, that's going to spread the gap even further as well. Or it could bring it closer, I guess, if all the 0-2 teams win.
I think what it could do is I think it could do both, because if you think about it, let's just say let's go crazy. One of those 2-0 teams are going to go 3-0. The other is going to go 2-1, right?
Yeah.
So we know for sure there's going to be a 3-0 team. Okay. It's possible that any one of the 0-2 teams can lose and go 0-3. That would be the biggest gap, right?
Yep.
But let's just say
all of the 0-2s
there's only
win?
No. They can't all win because there's me and Derek.
Oh, that's right.
There's one team that's going to go 0-3. And then it's possible if all the other 0-2 teams win. So if John wins and Phil wins,
all of a sudden there's a big log jam at kind of 2-1.
2-1,
1-2 will be
it's a huge log jam. Yeah, and then you've got the 3-0 and the 0-3.
So you're right. So it could go either way. It could bring the standings in the middle even closer. The top and bottom are going to be pretty far away, because someone's going to be 3-0 and someone else is going to be 0-3. But the middle could really start stacking up, or it could possibly go the other way, and you'll have a lot of people at the bottom and a lot of people at the top.
Mm-hmm.
So it's an interesting week. It's just the way the matchups are falling with the records. It's going to be kind of cool to see how that all shakes out.
Yeah.
So we've got the 2-2-0s, Misha and Nick. I mean, we could just kind of go through these real quick. Like, we don't need to like go super deep into everyone's team because we kind of already did that. But
Well, what else? What else? Well, we were just kind of talking. I guess we haven't talked about the matchup specifically. I guess
we kind of talked about people's teams already, but we haven't really talked too much about the matchups.
I mean, see, the truth is like, and maybe I'm wrong about this, but when going out last Sunday and watching what happened, and the Sunday before, like I feel it's really hard to predict the NFL right now because
yeah.
I just there are things that are happening, like, okay, performances that I'm not expecting that are coming out of nowhere from players that I had no idea. And I feel there's so many top tier players, like big names, that are performing horribly. Just not like I think of Le'Veon Bell, for instance. Perfect example, dude.
Yeah.
Number 2 overall, maybe number 1 in a lot of leagues. Like, how many points does he have on the season so far?
God, not a lot. That's for sure.
I think it's like 7 or 8, maybe 10, if that. Like, that's fucking crazy. Like, he has 15.5 on the season. And you just said Kareem Hunt, who's number 1, has what, 65?
65, yeah.
So he's 50 points behind the number 1.
It's gonna take some big games to make up that gap, but
no kidding.
I mean, there is a lot of time left. It's only been 2 weeks, so
you know what? I don't think there's too much time left in this podcast, and I still haven't smoked my bowl. So that's
Jesus. Well, I forgot to push record, so none of this has been recording.
Well, that makes me feel so much better. It makes me feel like I'm right on time.
And week 3 starts now.
Oh boy.
That's not even live. That's just a sound clip that we've taken from every other podcast and just pushed the button on the soundboard. Just a recording.
Yeah, it's the way I can fake it every single time. Who else?
Let's see. Well, I mean, you and Derek certainly are going to have an interesting matchup with the 0-2s. This is the fight to not be in last place.
Yeah, I hope so.
I mean, you're looking real nice. The projections right now have you 42 points, the favorite against Derek. I mean, who knows what's going to happen on Sunday, but you got to be feeling at least pretty damn good about your start here.
Well, I'll say I'm feeling okay, but still, I got to go up against Tom Brady. I got to go up against, Tom Brady.
Are you running with Carson Palmer still? Are you going to do Carson for back-to-backs?
I was looking to see who I would have swapped him out with, and there's actually only one player I think I would have swapped him out with.
Who's that?
Actually, maybe 2. Trevor Siemian or Carson Wentz.
Ooh. I've got feelings about each of those people, but I can't really say because that's kind of collusion or
I wouldn't call that collusion. I didn't do it.
Influencing. No, but if you're trying to decide, if you're trying to decide between these 3 guys, I don't want to sway you.
Well, it's not about swaying, because the truth is Dallas looked really bad.
That is true. They did look really bad.
Now Carson hasn't looked great, and I really, really want that.
That Fitz connection?
I want that Fitz connection. Buffalo is who Trevor Siemian's going up against. That just doesn't sound easy.
At Buffalo, yeah.
Yeah, and they've not been very friendly to the quarterbacks they've been playing. Of course, they haven't been playing very good quarterbacks, but at the same time, I just don't know.
That's fair.
Carson Wentz is going up against the Jets. Or, sorry, not the Jets, the Giants. What am I saying?
Oh, yeah.
Who haven't been horrible. They haven't been wonderful either. But
And you'd also have your quarterback throwing to Alshon Jeffrey on Derek's team
mhm.
and Zach Ertz. Ooh,
Ooh, that's good. That's a good point.
yeah. That's just facts. That's not even my. I have still not going to give my opinions on these quarterbacks, but just pure facts there.
Yeah, it's it's a tough decision. The other thing is that Carson and Larry are playing on Monday.
Ah, yeah. That's always
So
interesting. You either feel really good about that because maybe you're already ahead and you're just doing a victory lap, or you're coming from behind. And Monday night is a very interesting game.
it's a very it's an important game, and you're just like either just like yes or God fucking
Yeah.
damn
Why don't
it.
we do this since we're already getting close to an hour into this cast? Why don't we just do our pick'ems for the week,
Okay, fair enough.
and I will keep track of these guys. So, well, let's since we're already talking about yours. I mean, I have to pick you, just given that Todd Gurley has already put up 35.5 points. I think that's just such a monster matchup, and I mean, yeah, I just think that's a big deficit. Derek's been probably the most hit by the injury bug this year with David Johnson and Greg Olson. So he's kind of filling in some people right now. I mean, he has some decent people to fill in, but I think overall, I think I'm giving this one to you.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I really who I'm in love with is I'm in love with my running backs.
I would feel that way too.
Yeah, Marshawn, I mean, he's been
He's solid.
I feel
He
like
hasn't
for
busted
a flex,
out yet, but
yeah, but for a flex, like I feel like I'm very comfortable with that as my flex because I feel like it's at least going to be like a solid 8, 9, or 10. Then maybe if he has a touchdown or two,
yeah,
like, oof,
you never
that'll
know.
be-
Never know with that Raiders offense.
no, I would say that's very true.
Okay, so we're going.
So yeah, I will probably. The only person I still don't really like on my team is Martellus Bennett. But you know what the funny thing is? Even though people say he's so shitty, dude, he's been targeted 17 times in 2 games.
Yeah, he needs to start hauling some of these catches in, but
Yeah.
I mean, he's got the opportunity, that's for sure.
Yeah, so it's pretty hard to let him go if that's the case. So yeah, I'll give myself the vote.
All right,
All right, how
double
about
on the board? Let's just jump right in. Let's do
just do
Jimmy
yours?
and
Well,
Phil.
no. Let's
Oh, you
do
wanna
yours.
mine?
We were already talking about it since Chris did put
That's
up
true. That's true.
22.5 with Carlos Hyde. Now you still got
I got
your
everybody.
whole team. Oof, Drew against Carolina.
I know Drew's always better at home, but so he's got to go on the road.
Ooh.
I think historically he doesn't have monster games against Carolina.
I don't think so either. Ooh.
So, I
and
don't know.
Melvin's
And-
going up against KC. Ooh. That's a tough one too.
Yeah, KC, they're interesting. They let up a
Well, it's-
huge ground game to New England, but then shut down Philly.
Well, see,
last
here's
week.
the thing though. It's like it's going to be a different game because that's a division game.
True,
So
true. Yeah,
that's-
those are some tough battles. I'm
Yeah,
just
those are-
hoping that Gordon gets
He could get in the end zone. I like
Yeah.
that's very realistic, but I think it's going to be a gritty game. Yeah, and we were talking about Denver going up against Buffalo, so CJ, I think that he still should be okay. I'm curious, yeah. So
I've got to say
dude,
though,
you know
I'm
what?
looking at.
Ooh.
Oh, what are you oohing about?
I'm just like I'm looking at these. It's not the players, dude. Okay,
The
so like
matchups?
it's the matchups. I don't like any of your matchups.
Well, I agree with you. And then I was just looking at Chris's matchups.
I don't like any of
I
his.
don't like
matchups.
those. I mean, he's got to go against Seattle. He's got to go against LaShawn. Has to go against Denver. Fournette has to go against Baltimore.
Yeah,
you
he's got his
Houston defense in
wideouts
there.
He's got his wideouts playing each other.
That's true. So he's hoping for a big air game for that Houston New England game.
I guess
But
that's what he's hoping
those could
for,
be
yeah.
some tough defenses as well. I mean, but he's already got Carlos Hyde with 22 and a half. Like, I'm definitely nervous. I'm definitely nervous about this matchup. I mean, just based on how our teams have performed to this point, I know that can change in a heartbeat, but I mean, my team's been fucking solid so far. I hope that
Yeah.
continues. I'm gonna go with my team, but man, I am very nervous this week.
I'll tell you, if Sammy was in, I probably would have given Chris the nod. Just that was just two good
Dude, yeah.
performances.
If he already had over 50 points already, I'd probably be voting for his team as well.
I have such a big question mark about this New England Houston game because this is where I think Tom Brady would just go to town, and Brandon Cooks should do well.
That's what you would have thought last week too.
If he was already doing well, but he's not already doing well. He hasn't been performing as of yet. So like
any moment he could pop off for a huge game.
I think DeAndre is slotted maybe to have a big game. Like they might try to shut him down, but I think at the same time when you get desperate enough and when somebody's got the talent enough, I think DeAndre could. I don't think New England's defense is all that good.
No, I don't think they are either.
So I think DeAndre is poised for a big game. Dolphins defense, I guess against the Jets.
What's your gut telling you here?
It's a tough one. You know what? Just to split it, I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna go with Chris. I'm gonna hope that some of these players pan out. Fournette against Baltimore. That's gonna be if Fournette can put it up against Baltimore, he's legit. I would say that's because after what he's done so far, like those are really solid numbers. If he puts it up against Baltimore, that's legit.
For sure.
LaShawn McCoy, I don't
He's
know.
got some tough running back matchups.
Some tough running backs. I just, man, so many of these matchups for you are like serious division rivalries, though, and that's what really worries me because those division games are not like regular NFL games. I feel like they're not that people don't score fantasy points.
No, they are,
just,
but I mean, look at the Niners and Rams game. That was a division game, and they scored
exactly
like 1,000,000 points.
I'm just saying that they're unpredictable.
They are unpredictable. They play differently.
They all know each other. Yes, exactly. It's like it's good or bad because they know each other so well. So it's possible that because of that, Keenan Allen might have like a monster day. But Jesus, I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to give Chris the nod this week.
All right.
And we'll see how it pans out.
We will see how it pans out. Okay, let's keep this train moving here. Let's go to Joey in Glasgow. So we've got John struggling at 0-2, and we've got Joey just chugging along here at 2-0.
You finally put in Jonathan Stewart.
Yeah, he put in Jay Stu. Took out Bilal Powell. I guess he's fed up with that Jets run game that's not going the way most people thought it would.
Yeah.
See if Zeke can bounce back. See if Mike Evans keeps it going. See if Russell Wilson can finally get his September going. He's usually a slow guy to start the season and then really opens it up. So maybe he can start that a little sooner this year. This year. And then Joey's got some interesting pieces too. He's got Big Ben, but on the road. Big Ben is a very much that home road splits guy where he goes on the road and tends to not be the same. So we'll see. I mean, Chicago's pretty shitty though, so that could be fine. And he's got fucking Kareem Hunt just crushing it. Dalvin Cook's been super strong. Tyreek Hill can explode at any point too. Julio, goddamn, Joey's team definitely looks pretty good. I think I have to go with just quickly on this one. I think I have to go with Joey. He's got some explosive players.
I think John really needs some magic from his team. He's got potential. Like the Tarek Cohen, he could do a 20-point game like he had that very first week. Demarius, I could easily see having a good game. Mike Evans could. I mean, he's only had one game back, and he already did 18.5. Mm-hmm. Zeke. We know Zeke. We know Zeke could be a fucking monster, and he's going up against Arizona, who I would not say is the greatest.
Yep.
Russell could have a huge, huge game. I don't know. In truth, like, John, I like your team. I think it can be dangerous. But it's not predictable enough, or I don't know. It's just like, I don't know if it's strong enough. Joey just has to have, like, in order for Joey to lose, because we've just seen Joey's team put up points, we would have to see them not put up points. We would have to see Kareem Hunt have a quiet game. We would have to see Julio and Tariq have quiet games. Ben under 20 points. Like, I don't know. I feel like Joey right now his team's in a pretty good position. Even though I would like it to be so that there are not too many 3-0 teams, but yeah, I think it's gonna be hard to root against Joe or to vote for anybody other than Joey.
Yeah, have to agree. Joey's looking strong with these young guns, super explosive. So we'll see how that plays out. And then before we get into the undefeated matchup, let's get into Jimmy and Phil. So Jimmy, as we were talking about earlier, number 2 scorer this year so far, already won himself $10 in the first week. He's looking to continue being undefeated, and Phil is desperately looking for his first win. Ran into a couple injuries last week. He's probably hoping that his guys are back in play. So let's kind of see what their matchup looks like here. So he had Jordy that went out last week, who looks like he might be back in.
Jesus.
So yeah, we kind of already talked about Phil's team, and we did also talk about Jimmy's team. So for me, this one looks pretty easy. Unfortunately for Phil, unless his team can certainly explode. I just think the running backs are a little bit on the weak side, and Jimmy's team there's so many strong people there, and I just don't see them slowing down at this point.
No, I mean Jordan Reed could have a big game. I don't know. I guess for God, if Andrew Luck was playing, T.Y. Hilton would be a different player. All of a sudden, Phil's fucking wideouts just become insanely stacked.
Seriously, yeah.
God damn it. And he also has Zach Miller. I forgot about that. Brandon Marshall. I don't know what you do about Brandon Marshall. Phil, if you're listening, I just think you fucking just say fuck it and put in Nelson or something. Nelson's got 17 and 6.5. I don't know. Like,
co-manager over here.
Co-manager, exactly. I don't know. Brandon Marshall is not somebody I think that is going to do very well in New York. Like, I don't even know why they brought him over. He's pretty much a possession receiver, and like in order to have a possession receiver, you need to throw it to him like all the time. And I don't feel like that's how New York does their shit. They've always kind of spread it around. Eli doesn't know where the fuck he's going.
Yeah, he's all over the place.
All right, yeah, we'll give it to Jimmy.
Yeah, Jimmy's team just looks really good, and it would be a surprise to me if all of a sudden he had a really bad week.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Okay, well, let's wrap this thing up with the last Nick and Misha, the two undefeateds going at it here. God, let's see what we got. We got Aaron Rodgers versus Cam Newton. Got to give Nick definitely the edge there. I'm sure Misha's probably hoping that Odell finally breaks out and has his first good game of the season here. Let me see. Trying to look at some of these matchups here.
Is Gronk going to play?
That's a good question. I think he's supposed to, but...
I think he is, too.
Yeah, I think he is. I'm ready, says Gronk. Well, no shit.
Gronk could fucking have, like, no leg and a broken back.
Yeah,
and be like,
I'll hobble out there.
I'm good.
I think this is going to be a good close matchup.
Well, it says it is a 113.5 to 114.7. Right now I'm giving the edge to Nick just based on past performance, but like I said, there are a lot of pieces on this team that are fucking suspect. Stephon Diggs, if Sam Bradford doesn't play, Stephon Diggs is going to be dog shit.
Yeah.
Jeremy Maclin, God, you take away those touchdowns, and those aren't good games. Those are like 5s and 6s. Yeah. Like, that's not that great.
Isaiah Crowell, same type of deal, has not been great so far.
Jason Witten has 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, he's been surprisingly very solid.
He's been surprisingly solid, yeah. I Crowell, no, I don't like that. Shit,
I think I have to give the edge. So you just said you gave the edge to Nick. I think I have I have to give the edge to Misha. I think
nice. I think we split it.
Yeah, I think Cam he's been bad this year so far because he didn't play in the preseason, but now he gets a tasty New Orleans Swiss cheese defense matchup.
Swiss cheese defense.
And I think and he's got McCaffrey right there as well. I could see Carolina piling on some points this week. I think that's a really nice matchup. If Odell finally gets it going, and if Gronk and Landry are in there, I think Misha should probably continue putting up some, good over 100-point weeks.
I'll tell you what I do think. I think Travis Kelce will probably have another big game.
Yeah, I can definitely see that.
Yep, I think that's possible. But yeah, I'll give my vote to Nick.
All right, we got a couple splits in there, so that's good. Next week, I promise we will look back at our picks from last week and we will say what happened, because we've been doing our picks, but we haven't really been keeping track. So.
Oh fuck! I did write that down, and I'm pretty sure I threw it away when we.
Yeah, that's the problem. Writing it down on a piece of paper. I've got them on my notepad in my computer, so we'll be good for next week, so we can actually tell people how good or bad we are at picking these matchups.
Yeah, probably pretty bad.
Yeah, probably pretty bad. It's usually pretty bad if history tells us anything.
Oh, dude,
really
yeah,
bad.
we were so we were always off a lot. And I feel that's perfect. That makes me happy. Fantasy is just unpredictable.
Yep, exactly.
All right, well, I guess that's enough.
Yeah, that was a good one. We're just north of an hour here, so got through quite a bit of info. I think this is going to be a nice week 3. Some potential, either some moving and shaking or some log jam up in the middle. So I'm excited for this weekend, and there's some tasty matchups.
I guess, and I don't know. Maybe this might have happened. It might not have, because this is technically going to be future talk. Okay. But there may have been a new song that was at the beginning of the podcast.
Yes.
Maybe there might have been.
Yes.
I don't know. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Then and that was put together by the master DJ. Do we come up with a name for him? Lestage?
I don't know if we did. Lestage? We'll have to come up with one if we haven't already done that.
We do have to come up with one. Everybody, okay, that's another thing. We need to put there is a post or a thing up there, or a forum about what do we want to see on the website. Nick's been asking. He wants to know what people want to see. People have suggested like pictures of all of us when we get together and partying, stuff like that. Other different suggestions are up in the poll. But besides that, yeah, we need all kinds of suggestions. Like, for instance, what is Chris's DJ name for all these fucking podcast songs?
Would love to get some opinions on that. I'm sure we got some creative people in this league. I'm sure we could get some good stuff going.
I'm liking Lestage.
DJ Lestage with the mustache.
With the mustache. Lestage. All right,
guys.
Okay. Everybody have a good football weekend, and I guess we'll catch you next time.
Peace.